app ran into a problem. That is why I couldn't join. Now I took the web application. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So here, last class, what we were discussing Huffman coding, right?
Yes.
I think we had finished one problem, right? You remember it? It was on Thursday, I guess, Thursday or Wednesday. Okay, so this is a Huffman coding slide. We didn't go through, I guess, but it's okay. Even if this is relatively simple since you know the concept. So we know the concept of what is the requirement. It means depending upon the frequency, we need to generate the code word for each character. That is one of the requirements. And the second requirement is it should be prefix code. That is, no code word should be a prefix to another code word. So these two conditions have to be satisfied. And such codes are known as prefix code, and Huffman code is a coding scheme which generates prefix code, means it satisfies both these requirements. So here, this is how you can generate a Huffman tree. Let us just quickly read this because since you already know the concept, it's easy. Produces optimal prefix code. So optimal, you remember the terminology. Optimal means we need to minimize the length of the code word depending on the frequency. So that is our objective function. And based on this, we will run a greedy algorithm, and we are greedy about the frequency. Optimal prefix code based on the frequency of occurrence of characters within message or data. Yeah. Then it follows a greedy method, and C is the set of all n characters. These things we already discussed in the board, and when we solved the problem, C is the set of all characters and the length of C is n. And C dot frequency, we have a parameter for C dot frequency which represents the frequency of each character. Then it builds a Huffman tree. So Huffman coding algorithm, generally it builds a Huffman tree and returns this Huffman tree. The algorithm returns this Huffman tree, and once you get the tree, you can assign all the left side to. It's basically a binary tree, so every node must have two children. So the left child is designated, or left leaf or left child is designated as 0, and right child or link to the right child is designated as 1. So like that, we generate the coding scheme, and for that we need to run a minimum priority queue. So minimum priority queue means we will always take out the minimum value. Minimum frequency values will be first popped out or dequeued from the queue. In that way, you need to run a priority queue, and yeah, based on the frequency attribute. All these things we demonstrated, so there is it's easy. So now this is the algorithm. This algorithm we demonstrated in the virtual board. So that is done. And the complexity is big O of n log n. Why? Because we need to sort the array based on the priorities. So based on the frequency, we need to sort it. So sorting maximum, it will take big O of n log n time. So that is the only task to be done, which depends on the input size. So whatever is depending on input size, that will amount to the complexity of the method. So here the only task is sorting. So for that sorting, the best algorithm, you can use quicksort or merge sort so that it will run in n log n and using heap. So minimum priority queue. So minimum priority queue is to be implemented using heap. So that is why it is this we already discussed in last semester. Last semester we saw how a priority queue. There are various implementations of priority queues. Even you can have big O of n square implementation of priority queue. If you use an array, priority queue implementation will take big O of n square time. But in the case of heap, if you use a heap to implement the priority queue, then it will take just big O of n log n time, because log n time is required to insert or delete an element to a min heap. So for n elements we are doing this, so the complexity will be big O of n log n. So the overall complexity also will be big O of n log n. Only constraint is that the priority queue you should implement using heap and not an array. If you use an array, then all these operations will take big O of n square times. This the extract, mean all these operations will take just log n time, and these are done for n elements, so total complexity will be n log n, and that is how you get the complexity of a Huffman coding algorithm. So this is another algorithm that we have designed and analyzed. So our objective was to generate code words depending on the frequency, that two prefix codes, that was the objective. So Huffman coding was one of such methods, and we designed an algorithm for that, and we implemented or demonstrated that algorithm, and we analyzed the complexity, and that is big O of n log n. So this is all about the design and analysis of another algorithm. Okay, now just we can have a look at the what this, yeah, here Huffman coding, this was done just to remind you. This was the problem and this was the frequency count. So you will be generally given a table and you have to generate this code word using Huffman coding method, and this is the coding scheme, exactly the same thing we applied here. So the video recording is available. If you are still in confusion, you can go back and watch that recording, and finally we will return the Huffman tree and we will get the code word like this. So as I told, we can the left link to the left child is designated as 0 and link to the right child is designated as 1 consistently over all the nodes, and you have to traverse from root to that particular letter. So suppose if you are generating code word for C, traverse from root node to C and write the code word. So like that it is. Now one more example I have put here, but this example I am not solving. This will be available in your virtual notebook, notebook or board or whatever. So you can solve it, and you can ask me if you have any doubts. The answer is also given there. So we have all the vowels A, E, I, O, U plus 2 other characters S and T, and the frequencies are given, respective frequencies are given. So just to follow the algorithm and do this as a practice, okay, so that you can just, and if you have any doubts you can ask me, and this will be the answer for this question. Okay, so and just verify that you are able to get this answer. Okay, so this I am not solving, but the same method you can use. Is that fine? Are you listening, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that you can do. Okay, this will be available in the board. I think whatever I write in this board, it is visible to you, right, as we discussed in the group. In the WhatsApp group we discussed, because I wanted to make sure that whatever I write here is visible to you every time, so that you can have that classroom feeling, and maybe you will memorize some of the things. You can remember, recollect when you see the board. So that is why I think it's visible to you, and all of you know how to view it in Teams app. Teams app or web or whatever. Yeah, in the notebook section if you go, I think you can see there is a portion known as content library or something like that, where it will be available. And I am systematically doing this. I'm trying to be systematic. Like this is module 1, you can see on the left side it is module 1, and in that we have Huffman coding, and next problem that we are going to discuss is this problem, and that is also there. When we start a new problem, I'll add a new page and name it with that problem. When we start a new module, I'll just add a section by module 2, like that. That is my plan, so that the contents will be organized in a systematic way. At any point you can take any problem whichever you are studying, maybe on the previous day of exam and all. It will help you, I guess. So that is the idea. This is module 2, in fact. Yeah, on that day also there was some debate on that. Delete, rename. I'll rename this just now itself, so that it will be, that confusion will be gone. Yeah, so that has been renamed as module 2, because in module 1 nothing is there to just portray in this board, so we didn't have anything. So here we have many things, because many algorithms we need this board and chalk kind of setup, not like just PowerPoint slides will not do. because the explanation, it is explanation by example. So we need board and choke. Anyhow, let us go to the next problem without wasting time. So I trust that you will be doing the second problem, second example by yourself. Okay, I won't be insisting it, but it will be a good practice for you. Here we have more letters, so the code word length will also be more. So this example all of you must do. Okay. Now let us go to the second or next problem, next algorithm. What is that? This problem you already know. What you mean by, yeah, when we discussed the brute force strategy, we discussed what is traveling salesman problem. What is traveling salesman problem? You can just tell me if you remember. Like when we discussed brute force, we discussed this, and how to solve this using brute force. That also was discussed. What is traveling salesman problem? Anyone?
So if we solve it by brute force, we'll be searching for all the possible combinations of path that the salesman can choose.
Yeah, exactly. That is the solution. But what is the problem?
We have to minimize the distance.
That is also okay. But what is the scenario?
So cities, given a set of
Yes,
cities, you have to visit all the cities exactly once with the shortest distance, covering the shortest distance.
exactly. One more point without repeating. Yeah, you are not supposed to repeat any city. Okay, you are not supposed to visit any city more than once. So these are the conditions. So this kind of a problem is known as traveling salesman problem. You have n number of cities, and a salesman is supposed to visit all the cities as part of his sale, and he has to start from a particular city. That you can start from any city, that is the salesman's choice. He can start from any city, and then he should visit all the cities exactly once, and he should return to the starting city. So this is the problem. So this problem we already saw, and one way of solving this is using brute force approach. In brute force approach, you have to list out all the possible paths. You have to trace all the possible paths first, then the cost of the path is to be listed out, and then finally choose the path which is the best. So that is the idea. But brute force solution will not be a good idea always, because if the number of cities are more, then it will be relatively complex. So we have other methods such as dynamic programming method. So now we are going to solve the same problem using dynamic programming approach. So this maybe this will be our first problem for dynamic programming strategy that applies dynamic programming strategy. I remember, yeah. If you had, yeah, last time we had lab, because in lab we have that longest common subsequence problem, right? All of you had the lab for LCS, right? Either Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so in that we learned LCS problem, and LCS problem is a typical dynamic programming approach. So we already have one problem. So dynamic programming means it's just a tabulation. I told you, it's just a tabulation. We will be having some kind of a table like this, and we will be filling, because all the possibilities, whatever you enter here will lead to a solution. So we are making a sequence of decisions. So that is the idea of dynamic programming. So if you remember our initial classes, the differences between greedy and dynamic programming means, in dynamic programming we will take a sequence of decisions. In greedy, what decision is to be taken will be fixed in advance, but here it is not fixed upfront. We will be taking decisions as and when the time comes. That is the difference. So all these entries in the table, that will help you to take the decisions sequentially, and finally at the end of the table you will understand the answer, or there are some ways to get the answer, and this depends on the problem, or this will vary from problem to problem. LCS we had one method. Now we have the traveling salesperson problem using dynamic programming approach. So there is nothing to worry about here. This is already know, whatever is written italics is just the copy of previous slide. So this is already we know. So just read this. Given a set of cities, yes, and distance between every pair of cities. So between every pair of cities, the distance will be available. The problem is to find shortest possible route. Yeah, right. That visits every city exactly once. This is one constraint, and returns to the starting point. That is the second constraint. So this is a typical optimization problem, and here the problem is maximization or minimization.
So minimization.
This is minimization because we need to minimize the distance traveled by the salesman. That is the this is a minimization problem. So this is a minimization, and we have the constraints, all nodes to be visited. He is not supposed to skip any of the nodes. So that is one constraint. And second constraint is he has to visit exactly once. And maybe you can add one more constraint that he should return to the starting point. So only the starting point can be visited twice. Okay, starting point while starting and while ending the trip, he can visit. So that is how the problem is. This we all know. Now we have some formula. So this formula, how will you get that, we will discuss later. First I'll tell you the problem and the solution using dynamic programming. Then we will slowly turn into the formula. Okay. So here you just forget this for the time being, and we'll come back to this slide after our demonstration. Okay. So we can just take this TSP DP problem, and I have a small example that is already written here to save time. I have already written the example. So this is the scenario. We have 4 cities A, B, C, and D, and we have what? This table. So this distance, this is an adjacency matrix. You remember adjacency matrix, incidence matrix, many ways to represent graphs. All these were part of your DSA course. So this is how you can represent an adjacency matrix, and each entry in this adjacency matrix is the weight. Weight means you can consider it as the distance of traveling from A to B, or you can consider it as the cost of traveling. Cost will be more meaningful because you can see A to B is 16, but B to A is 8. So if it is distance, it doesn't make sense. A to B is 16 means B to A should also be 16. But let us assume that this is the cost of travel, and we need to minimize the overall cost traveled by the salesperson. So that is how the problem is. That is why we will have different values. A to B cost is 16 means B to A can be different. Okay, maybe from B to A he is taking another vehicle. Maybe from A to B he is riding a fuel efficient vehicle, but B to A he is riding less fuel efficient vehicle. So cost can be different. Many constraints or many scenarios are there in which cost can be different, or the number of toll booths. If you have more number of toll booths in the upward direction, then you can have the cost is different. So if it is cost, then you can imagine that. If it is distance, it doesn't make sense to some extent. But as a hypothetical problem, you can take it. Even you can take distance. So here, how to solve this means, I'll tell you. So suppose let A be the starting point. So here some one equation is given, which is copied from the slide, and we have certain points to remember. I is the starting vertex in this equation. Let us forget this equation, but let us just understand that I is the starting vertex. That is, A is the starting vertex. We can consider any vertex. So that is the salesman's choice. But in this case, we are taking A as the starting vertex. And these 2 points we will come back later. So just understand that A is a starting vertex now. So from A, the salesman is starting. From A, what are the choices available to the salesman? Now you can tell me, according to your inputs, I'll draw a tree. Okay. From A, where can the salesman move? What are the different routes available to the person?
B, C, D.
Yeah. He can go to B. He can go to C. These are the choices. D. So you will be thinking that since this is dynamic programming, but why this fellow is drawing trees? Because to understand dynamic programming is just the application of this equation. But to understand this equation, we should know this tree first. We should know the problem first, and we should know the solution first. So first, let us solve the problem using this tree method, and then we will just apply the formula and see it. And in the same way, we can maybe program it. If you want to code it actually using C or Python or something, then then we will use the formula. Then, but before that, let us just represent the problem like this and find the solution using a tree method. Actually, here also we are applying dynamic programming because we are making a sequence of decisions. Okay. Now from B, where can he travel? From B, He has started from
C
A.
also.
Yeah, started from A according to the problem's requirement. He started from A and reached B means he will not go back to A because he has to visit all other nodes before going back to A. So from B, the options are C and D. That is there. From C, which are the options? Suppose he doesn't go from A to B, but instead he went from A to C. Then what are the remaining options from C?
B and D.
B and D.
Yeah, B and D. B and D are the options. Suppose he doesn't go to B or C, he visited D first. If he visited D first, then what are the options available from D?
C and B.
C and B are the options, or we can write B and C. In order to make it consistent, we can write B and C. So these are the three options available. Now, just like that, you can grow this tree. So from A, he visited B and then he visited C. Then what is the next choice?
D.
He has only one choice. He can go to D. That's all. Okay, because that is how the problem is framed. Now A to B he visited, from B to D he visited, from D where can he go? What is the remaining vertex? Remaining
C.
vertex is
C.
C. From A to C he went, C to B, then B to D. Okay. Then A, C, D, then remaining is B. Then A, D, B, then remaining is C. A, D, C, then remaining is B. And once he visit all this, now from up to this level, now by now we have visited all the vertices. As per this example, if you have more number of nodes, your tree will also be proportionally large. So here you can see, now we have visited all the vertices A, B, C, D, and from D where he has to travel.
A.
He has to go back to A. D to A he has to go because he has to reach in the starting vertex. So here from C also he has to go to A. From D also he has to go to A. B also he has to go. Here also, here also. In all the possibilities he is going back to A because as per the problem requirement. So these are the various paths traced by the salesman. These are the various paths traced by the salesman. Okay. Now we can think of the distance covered, or what is to be the distance covered. So from D he has only one option, just to go back to A. So we will fill the distance in a bottom up fashion, because you will understand the reason a little after a little while. So from D he has to go back to A. What is the cost of traveling from D to A?
5.
Yeah, 5. So here he has to spend 5 units of cost. From D to A, he has to 5. Then from C to A, what is the cost? C to A. It's from the
4.
table, you can read it.
4.
C to A, 4. What is from D to A?
5.
D to A is 5 again. That is already written. B to A. Okay.
8.
B to A is 8. Then C to A already written 4. B to A is 8. So this is at this level, what is the cost? So that is why I told you we are filling this in a bottom up fashion. So from D to A, from D to the last hope, to the last jump, to the last edge, he wants to cover the last edge. This many cost he has to invest, or this is the cost of traveling. So now tell me, what is the cost of traveling from C to A? From C to A.
4.
Yeah, if he follows this path, then C to D and D to A. D to A cost we already have. Then what is the cost from C to D? C to D from the table you can get it from the adjacency method.
9.
C to D is 9. 9 is the cost from C to D, and from D to A also he has to travel. So it will be 9 plus 5 is equal to 14 is the cost. 14 is the cost to travel from C to A. So last two jumps. So here the last jump cost is marked. Here we are marking the cost for last two jumps. Okay. Similarly, what is D to C and C to A? D to A, what is the cost? D to C is 2
2.
and D to A is 4. So total 2 plus 4 is equal to 8 is the cost. 8 is the cost. Okay. Now similarly, B to D and D to A. What is that? B to D we have 16 and B to A we have 5. So 16 plus 5 is equal to 21 is the cost from B to A. Okay. And D to A, what is that? Here we already have 8 and D to B is D to B, where it is? D to B is 12. So it is equal to 20. Okay. Similarly, B to A. B to A means it is 4 plus B to C. What is B to C? 13. So this is equal to 17. So 17 is from here to here. Now here from C to A, what is that? B to A is 8. And C to B, what is C to B? 7. So it is equal to 15. So this much is the cost for the last two jumps. Now consider last three jumps. What is the cost? What is the cost of last three jumps? Can you tell me? Can someone tell me? Here what the problem is? Here he has two options. Either he can go from B, C, D, A. This is one of the option, or he can go from B, D, C, A. So we will have two costs, and out of these two costs, which one should we take? Here we have two options. We have two paths, and both these paths have different costs. And in this kind of a scenario, overall problem, you have to look the overall problem and answer. What is the what should we take?
So the
So the
minimum.
lesser cost.
Yes,
Lesser-
the minimum
lesser.
value, because minimum value, our problem is minimization. So minimization means if you have two choices, choose the minimum one. Choose the minimum one. So here you can see B, C, D, A. So this is what is the value if the salesman follows B, C, D, A path. What is the cost? So we already have CDA 14 plus this BC. What is the cost of BC? BC is 30. So this cost is equal to 27. This cost is equal to 27. And we have one more path. One more path is BDCA. BDCA. What is the cost of that path? Already we have 8 here. And what is the cost of BD? BD is 16. So this cost is equal to 24. So which one will you take? We have two options from B. From B, the salesman can either follow CDA path or he can follow DCA path. So if he follows BCA path, then the cost is 27, and DCA path, then the cost is 24. So we should take the minimum one, which is equal to 24. So at this node, the cost is 24. Okay. So before this, the issue was not there because there were no option, only one option was there. So just to follow that option. But at this point, at this level, we have two options. So if you have more than one options, not just two, more than one options, then you should take the minimum value because
It should be 22.
sorry, any mistake?
So 6 plus 16 it will be.
6 plus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. 8. This is 8, right? Oh, okay. 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. That is a different mathematics. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. Yeah. Thanks for that correction. So this will be 6 plus 16. What is 6 plus 16? 22. Okay, 22. Okay. So this is 22. Yeah. Now, what is at C? Tell me the different options. 21 plus C to B 7. So this is equal to 28. Oh, sorry, 28. Yeah, this is 28. Then what is the next option? 20 plus C to D. What is C to D? 9. 20 plus 9 is equal to 29. So which should I take? Because I should take the minimum value. I can choose 28. Now from D, which are the options? One is 17 plus D to B. D to B, it's 12. So this is equal to 29, right? 29 or 39? 29.
29.
This is 29. 17 plus 12 equal to 29. And here 15 plus what is the value?
Two.
Where D to C, you're right. D to C 12, right? This is 12. D to C is 2, D to B is 12, D to C is 2. So 15 plus 2 is equal to 17. So here I should take 17 because that is the minimum one. Now come to A. A, how many choices we have? Three choices we have. So all these three choices have to be marked, and one of them should be taken, and not just one of them. It is to be the minimum one. So here I can have the first choice as 22 plus A to B. What is A to B? A to B is 16. 22 plus 16 equal to 38, I think. Yeah. So first it's 38. Then we can have A to C. A to C means it is 28 plus 28 already there upon C. Now we have A to C path. A to C path, what is the cost? A to C path is 11. Okay. So we have 39. And we have one more A to D path that is already existing is 17 plus A to D. What is the cost? A to D, it is 6.
23.
So this is equal to 23. So out of 38, 39 and 23, 23 is the minimum. So I should take 23. So these are the different costs, and we have marked the minimum always. So from this situation, can you tell me what is the path to be taken by the salesman so that the overall cost is minimized? From A, where should he move? He has two options. One option gives him 38 cost, another option gives him 39, and the last option costs 23. So which one should he take?
The last one.
Low cost one is 23. So from A, first he should move to D, right? From D, he has two options. Out of these, which option should he take?
D to C.
Yeah, that is going to B or going to C is cost effective. Going to B means it will cost 17. Going to C means it will cost 15. So we should, or the salesman should take this path, B to D to C path. Now how the salesman should take from C, there are no options, so just one option, follow that option, C to B and B to A. So what is the path taken by the salesman? What is the path taken by the salesman?
A, D, C, B, A.
A, D, C, C, C. Oh, this is what A, D, C, B, A is to be the path taken by the salesman. And what is the cost of the path?
20.
What is the cost of the path? It is equal to the 23. We already got it, 23. And if you are doubtful, you can compute it again. What is A to D? What is D to C? What is C to B? And what is C to A? If you add up, you will get the cost. A to D is 6. D to C is 2. And C to B is 7. And what B to A is 8. If you add these things, I guess we will get 23. If you want, you can add. Okay, so that is how you can find the minimum cost path. Now whatever you have done now, this is the same thing we need to do using the formula. Then only we can call it as a dynamic programming approach. So for that we need to use this formula, and using this formula we do exactly the same thing. Okay, exactly the same thing we are doing. We are not drawing any tree, that's all, but we are using the formula. So what is the formula here is GIS. So let me write it like this. So G is the cost, and we can have I is the starting node, and S is a set of vertices. S is a set of vertices. So GIS, okay, like this. This is equal to, so we will have many options. So whatever we have done now, that is the same thing. So we have to minimize something. What is to be minimized? We have to minimize WIK, comma. Then we have the cost function recursively we are calling. Recursively we are calling the cost function K, and we have S minus K. So this is the cost function. So this has to be minimized. So this is to be minimized, and this K is taken from the set S. Okay. So this is how. So if you take each value, if you substitute each value from K, you will get different values here. So that you will get two, three values, and out of these 2, 3 values, you have to minimize. So this is how you can apply the dynamic programming formula, and using this formula, you can find it out. Since this is readily available in the formula, we will not use any tables. So you will be thinking, since it is dynamic programming, tabulation will be there. But here we don't require tabulation because the answers are available from the formula itself. So we can just expand this formula. So you just understand this formula. This is a recursive formula because GIS is what we are trying to find out, and it again consists of GIS here. So G something here. So this G function we are trying to find out. G is the cost function. You can use any letter. You can use C or you can use any letter. That is to be found out, but here it is recursively applied. So you can see here it is recursively applied, and you can see the first value to this G. This first value, it is equal to a node. So this is a node, and this is a set of nodes. This is a set of nodes. Since it is a recursive formula, we need a base case. Since we need to stop at some stage. For example, if you are using factorial, you can stop at when n is equal to 0. So like that, we need a base case. So what is the base case here? We have written here G of X phi. Phi means null set. So G means first entry should be an element or a node, and this should be a set of nodes. So if this set of nodes becomes null set, then you can use the weight function directly. Weight means this is the weight function. This is the weight function, or this is the weight matrix. This is given as an adjacency matrix. So this is the formula, and using this formula, the same thing you can find out. For this, let us expand the first step and we can stop. The rest of the steps we can explain or do it in the next class. Okay, since it is already time. So G of IS is equal to, so here A is the starting vertex. If A is the starting vertex, the S will be the remaining vertices. Remaining vertices means B, C, D are the remaining vertices. For our example, we have only 4 nodes. So A is the starting node and S is equal to, so here A is equal to I, or I is equal to A, and S is equal to BCD. BCD means the remaining vertices. So GIS is equal to minimum of K element of, what is S? S are minimum, the remaining elements. So S is a set. B, C, D, these are the remaining elements, and WIK, WA. Okay. So K is to be taken from here. K is to be taken from this set. So first let us assume that we are taking B as K. So WAB. So minimum means we must have so many values. Like this, we have to have so many values, then only we can take the minimum of these things. So we must have 2, 3 or 4 values. N number of values we need to take the minimum. So first value how to obtain means you just choose K, just fix K as B. So WAB, you just substitute B here. Wherever you find K, you can substitute B. And wherever you find I, you can substitute A, since it is the starting vertex. So WAB, comma, oh, this is not comma, this is plus. Okay. Yeah, let us verify it again. Yeah, it is plus. It is plus. Plus G of the cost function is recursively called. K means what? What is our K now? Since we have fixed K as B. this is B. So first, you see, first a node should come. A node should come. Then a set of nodes should come. So what is the set of nodes in this context?
C and D.
S minus set K means this
C and
B
D.
is removed from that set. So you will get C and D. Okay. This is one value. This is one value. Okay. Now another value, because we need to find a minimum of so many values. Out of this first value we obtained when we fix K is equal to B. Now we fix K is equal to C. If K is equal to C, you can write it as W. I is still A. Okay, no change for I. A. Then K is C. I fixed it as C. So C is taken from this set. And plus G of, what is K now? So in this second comma, K is, after the first comma, K is C. So here C, comma, S minus set K. S minus set C means C is removed from this set. So BD. So this is equal to the set BD. Okay. Now last. Similarly, how will the last term be? You can choose D as K or fix D as K. Now tell me, how will it be? W. I is fixed A. K. What is K now? K is fixed as D. So D plus cost function recursively called G of, what is K? K is fixed.
D.
K is C. And S minus K means what? S minus C. What is
B
S?
and C.
S is BCD. From that C is removed means BD. Set BD. Sorry.
Set
D
B.
is fixed. So D is removed. Set BC. Set BC. Okay. This is how you can take it. So minimum of this, this and this. So this is how the formula is expanded first time. Now what we need to do is we have W of AB readily available from the table, W of AC available, W of AD available, everything is available, but these guys we don't know what is G, B, C, D, C, B, D, C, B, C. So just like this, we
The
need to
last one should be DBC, sir.
right, DBC. Thank you. Thanks for the correction. Yes, DBC. Yeah. So like this guy has to be expanded, this guy has to be expanded, this guy has to be expanded. Once you get the values of this, then only you can identify what is this value, this large value. You can sum it with this, then this, then this, then find the minimum. Like that we need to proceed. So we have to do a lot of job that can be done in the next class. It is already 5 minutes late. Okay. So with this, let us stop and we will meet in the next class. Okay. Doubts we can all your doubts can be addressed in the next class, because we will end this or we will finish this problem in the next class. Then you can have all your doubts. Okay, it's already late, 9:45. So thank you very much. I will be taking the attendance from the Teams itself. Okay, so you may go now. Today we have 58 only. That is quite saddening. Anyhow. So thank you very much. Don't forget these things before next class. Okay. Come prepared. Then we can easily solve this and finish this problem in the next class. Okay. Bye. See you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you. I'll just end the meeting.